Today, I'm joined by my friend Grace Mbugua, founder and CEO of JEILO Collections. Grace, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me.
So as we jump in, I want you to explain, what does JEILO Collections do and where does the name come from?
Okay, so JEILO Collections is a name that resonates with our faith, with our belief, and who we are. Both me and my husband, who we started the organization together. It means Jesus is Lord because we have a faith foundation in Christ. When we were starting, we wanted to see how we can support other people to be more resourceful in terms of their skills. We started it as Mama Kenya Empowerment Centers. Then we moved on to realize that the gap was actually a personal need that we were trying to address as individuals and also for the people whom we are working with. So you're working with women, and that was where we were starting, looking at the need they had, the inability to get opportunities because of maybe lack of skills. So we started a small center. We would train them on catering, we train them on stitching, and we would try and see how they could get opportunities. And so we trained them for about a year. But at the end, we recognized that it was not very sustainable because it wasn't bringing in income. As a business, it has to be a way that is self-sustainable.
So is it an NGO at that time?
At that time, it was an non-government organization, but we were not fundraising. We were using its own income to sustain it, but it was not sustainable in terms of long term.
Okay, so you started, you're motivated by, you're seeing women in the community, people you want to impact.
Yes.
So what was it that you noticed that?
Something that really, when I was, my previous work was also an NGO. I was running Women's Empowerment Link, which I had started. And when I was just about leaving, one of the gaps that I had identified is whenever we had an event, we needed bags. And we couldn't produce, and in terms of local, we had to buy imported bags. That used to make me feel many people would have been employed by making these bags. And so I tried to organize women into groups and put them to bring their machines from their homes, pay the rent, get a trainer. They would produce for us as an organization. But I realized that the commitment was not as much as I would expect, because they're also loyal to their customers where their machines are usually based. So they would come sometimes, they're in today, tomorrow they're not in. And I would feel that, there is no cost to their time being in our business. When you are there and you know that you pay the rent, then you will feel committed. So we recognize that as much as we would want to do it directly with the women to do it, we would rather have a structured business where you employ them and give them the opportunity to earn a living.
So you came to the conviction, we need to change this from an NGO into a for-profit business.
Yes.
How did that feel?
It was a shift for me, and quite a difficult one, because I was looking at how much they had valued, because I remember some of them crying the day we were closing the center. And they were saying, "Oh, would have loved you continue." However, we told them that the cost of managing the center was really going back to us. And for the sustainability in the future, they will get opportunities where they actually earn through their employment. So we started out the business, and we moved into now looking for actual opportunities, a structured place, small. Actually, it was in my servants' quarter where we had 2 machines. And now when we now decided to make it a professional business and everything, we had those 2 machines, and we would bring the women once in a while, but they didn't have that skill to produce to the quality we were looking for. So we had to outsource the trained and skilled labor. We would pay them per piece that they were producing. So we grew now. We have been able to train, acquire anybody who comes to JEILO and is on the lower cadre of maybe cleaning. My vision and always dream is to make sure that you're not in that situation for no more than 1 year. So we always improve our staff, and they move on into being skilled labor.
So just to make sure that I heard that correctly, because that's beautiful. You may have people coming into earlier stage jobs or kind of entry level.
Yes.
But your goal is that within a year, they become skilled labor?
Yes.
What does skilled labor mean for you today?
So skilled labor, I would give you for an example. Our current production manager came in as a cleaner. He came in, and I would give him 1 hour. I would tell him every day 1 hour from 5 o'clock to 6, I'll wait for you. You teach yourself how to use the machine.
So after hours,
After hours,
you're spending personal time.
yes, that is how he became one of the best producers of leather products. The bags I've come there with, all of them are made by him.
Wow.
So his skill,
So he's making high quality leather bags now.
and he became born again in JEILO.
So why does that matter so? I mean, there's multiple dimensions there of what matters so much in that story. But can you help those that are listening understand? Somebody comes in, entry-level role. Why invest that time? And what difference does it make in his life and in the lives of others that change happens?
I believe that God brings people in our lives with a purpose. And we are in the spaces we are in to fulfill God's purpose, more beyond just making money or being in business. I believe I'm a vessel for the Lord's work and service in the kingdom of God. So if somebody is brought in my life and they're in a situation where I have the ability to improve and change their lives, then that is my joy. I do the same in my house girls. All of them, I've taken them to school because that is what I know. God never brings you someone who is in a certain need without a reason. It's for you to invest. And that is it's for the glory of God at the end of it all. Because as you invest, you're also investing into the knowledge of the kingdom, who is God, how that the Christ-like character of giving back. So that's how we do it. We do it also at home. As I've mentioned to you, there's every house help who has come to work with us. We've taken them to college and then supported them to move on.
Wow.
Yeah.
How did you come to the conviction that that's how you wanted to live?
I think the journey, I believe that I don't know, I get very emotional about people who are coming from struggle. I've come from a very humble background. I came from far somewhere in the dinges of Nanyuki, somewhere very far. We used to, just to get to a town, we used to walk for 12 hours.
Wow.
Yes, you would walk you would really walk.
So if you needed to go to buy supplies or...
that would have to... Okay, I always thank God for my mother. She was very hardworking. And one of the things that she's taught us is that you can actually eat from your farm. Everything from onion to carrot to vegetables, everything was from our farm. So only maybe oil is what we needed to buy and a few other needs like basics for the house. But basically, most of the things were from our farm. And so the number of times you needed to go to town, which we used to call it town, would be once in a month.
Okay.
And then they do the shopping and come back home.
12 miles each way.
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you use the word kingdom several times in what you just shared, talking about business, and it sounds like very spiritual language. What's your understanding of what that means? You're an entrepreneur now. You produce high quality leather goods.
Yeah. Okay. So one of the things I would say is it's Christ-like character. What are some of the things? So as much as I'm an employer, I'm also in the service of the kingdom. So meaning I'm doing things to serve other people for the purpose of fulfilling my major responsibility, which is to preach the gospel. So every Monday we have a whole session where we preach the word and share we have a pastor who comes. Sometimes I'm the one who is sharing, but the purpose is to build their faith, so that we are not just working and working. There is something that God would want us to transfer, the knowledge of who Christ is, why they are created, because sometimes life can make you run after everything else and lose the direction in your purpose, why God created you. So we do that every Monday. We have about half an hour to 1 hour, just spending time to invest in their spiritual faith and their walk. And it's something that I've seen they appreciate. And on their own volition, they started doing prayers every single day in the morning. So I believe that is a seed that came from the fact that they are reminded that prayer works. You pray for your business, you pray for the works of your hand, that the Lord may pour out his blessings over your work and your business. Because this is not my business. I keep reminding them it's our business. We all earn from it.